I was on with Phyllis. I said, I don't know if Michelle's going to be on today.
Oh, of course I am. Come on now. So, hello everybody. It's morning for everybody except the East Coast. So, welcome to our Lunch and Learn. Today is Tuesday, February 11th, and this is our weekly Lunch and Learn. A couple of quick reminders before we dive into today's topic is that we're 2 days left in the first 2 weeks of February. So you have today and tomorrow to complete getting in your $1,000 in sales. Because remember, when you put in $1,000 net and on in the first 2 weeks of any given month, then you get to pick out $250 in jewelry of your choice. And there are plenty of options from brand new jewelry to choose. And for those of you that are new to the team, all the jewelry is new to you, so it doesn't matter which is on the list. There's going to be stuff on there that you want. And for that matter, there's stuff that all of us want on it that is not from the brand new line necessarily. So you really can enhance your kit every single month with $250 worth of jewelry by making sure that you have $1,000 in by tomorrow night. Some of you have already achieved it. Some of you are super close, and some of you have $1,000 or so sitting on your computer or most of the way there, and it's just a matter of hustling out that last bit of sales, and I have confidence that lots and lots of you will achieve that. Nothing better than getting some free jewelry added to your kit. Another reminder is that now we have the new Park Lane Stylist community, and it's a Facebook group being moderated by the home office and a couple of leaders, which I am happy to be one of them. And there's going to be, that's where they're going to start making like stylist specific announcements and letting us know, when the style drops are and things like that. There's going to be bonus extra training things and whatnot that take place in there. There is a series of questions that you have to ask in order to be approved. Now, I learned today that actually I am one of the people able to approve. So if I see a name I know from our team, I'm going to approve. But just let people know when, like as you have new recruits and stuff, let them know that there are questions that have to be answered. And that's so that we make sure that it is Park Lane Stylists joining the group. It's just to keep the group appropriate to what it's supposed to be. So that's exciting. I'm actually doing a little training in there today. If you have been on the Stylist Wanting More calls, it'll be a little refresher for you. If you haven't, then it's going to take place right after this. So that's that. Oh my gosh, I feel like I had one more announcement. Leaders, we do have that opportunity to train with Mary Grace in that recruiting workshop with Steve Wiltshire. So please check the leader page for that. And that's today at 1:30 Eastern. So we have a lot going on today. And the final announcement would be that tonight is our next welcome Zoom for all of our new and returning team members. So anybody that has joined this year that I haven't seen yet on one of them, I would love to see them, and I would love to see the recruiter as well if that's possible. And we're going to talk about, as always, how to have a good launch, how to earn Rich Rewards, what the Rich Rewards program even is, and how to have business beyond your family and friends. So if you are restarting, want to refresh, or new, please make sure that you are on that. All right, so today, I thought, does anyone have a question on anything that I just went over? Any of that?
Nope.
Okay, so today, I thought, I just was kind of thinking through a bunch of different, things. I had a lot of driving time yesterday. And one thing that consistently comes up on one-on-one coaching calls, and I hear it sometimes even in comments on some of these types of calls, is that I see that confidence can be an issue that holds some of you back for being as successful as you want to be. And so often it's either unwarranted or could easily be fixed, because confidence is brought about by practice. So it got me to thinking, what are all of the things that we really need to practice in order to get better at our business? Because if you, do any of you have like a child that ever played an instrument? Like you had a kid, like at one point your child was in band or orchestra at school. Didn't you always have to sign off on a sheet that like they practiced for 30 minutes or whatever? We had a lot of that in my house. The best one was Anthony. He was a saxophone player for many years. And he practiced a lot. He set up the thing and he practiced a lot, and he was first chair really quick. And he ends up in a jazz band and in middle school, first chair as a sixth grader. It was like amazing. He had solos. And Matthew, bounced around between instruments, didn't really practice, and quit before middle school. Teresa spent about 5 minutes playing the bass and switched to chorus. So it was quite obvious that practice built confidence and led to success in just my own household over the course of my 3 kids. However, my son Matthew would take he was a baseball player until 7th grade and then was encouraged to switch to lacrosse. And he's like, I think I want to do it. And I said, oh my gosh, how is this kid going to have enough time to practice lacrosse in the next year and a half to get good enough to play high school lacrosse, as he spent his entire life playing baseball? But he's really a determined and quite argumentative kid, actually. He's gotten a little better as he gets older, but only because he's smoother at it, not because he does it any less. And, but I would never tell like an 11-year-old it was too late to do anything, right? So I said, you know what, Matthew, if you want to switch, you do it. And he got one of those bounce back things, and he stayed in that backyard and threw that ball and caught it, hours at a time, went down to the field. By that summer, he tried out and played on an elite lacrosse team, and he made an elite high school team, and now he's a college lacrosse player because he practiced enough. Whereas Anthony never was interested in putting that level of dedication into the sports. And I'm sure that many of you have examples like that with your children, and maybe even things that you did for yourself. Now, I feel like a lot of these things, if you were to apply some of those principles to this, you'd see such a huge increase in your skills and your success. I don't know how many of you know, my further background. Some of you have heard this a few times, some of you may not know, but I had gone to a high school that had like a state accredited theater program. So it was kind of like if you were in this part of the high school, it was like you went to like the Fame High School. So I took acting as a class during the day, all kinds of theater things, voice lessons. I took dance instead of gym. So all of this was what went on during my school day, around, of course, all the academics. And there was always a show going on. Most schools have like a fall play and a spring musical. We had a fall play, a winter play, a dance concert, each of the holiday concerts, the spring musical, and then a late spring student production. It was crazy. There was always stuff going on. And here I get thrown into this freshman year. I'm going to high school with kids that are in movies, kids that are on Broadway, kids that were the Irish step dancing champion and stuff. And I just kind of showed up like, wow, I showed up thinking I'm a big shot because I got picked to sing Silent Night as a solo at Christmas Eve Mass. And now I show up to girls that are like, they have SAG cards and they're on TV and stuff. So I really needed to practice and learn how to get myself noticed and how to like take some outside things to even improve. So like I registered in like a town dance program that was inexpensive so I could get better at the like jazz and stuff like that. So this one rehearsal, I make the show freshman year, and the show was Jesus Christ Superstar, which is a rock opera if you're not familiar with it. So it's entirely singing, which worked in my favor because that was my strength of all of the theater stuff. So I'm at practice one day and we had to sit on the stage. So we're like literally sitting on the stage and the director's playing piano in the pit. And if you're familiar with the show, there's this one scene where all the lepers are like going for Jesus. So each line is a solo. So it was like, see my eyes, I could hardly see. And then the next one is another line, etc. So I'm sitting in this cast of 80 people and he's playing the piano and he's like, Gina, sing this line. And he plays the line, she sings it, and he says, good. Now he plays another line and he's like, Brian, sing that. By the third line, the light bulb goes on. Oh my God, he's giving out solos. He can't see me. I realized that I am not in his sight line because he would look up and scan the stage and pick a kid that he thought would do well with it. So now, of course, I'm like, oh my God, I want a solo, but I'm not going to get one if I don't move. So now each time he looks down, I'm like trying to move into a better spot so that the next time he looks up, he will see me. So now the fourth line gets given out. The fifth line gets given out. The sixth line, he's like, Velvet, sing this. And she was atrocious, thank God, right? So she's like, see, I believe. And I'm like, oh my God. Of course I say to myself, he can't give her that. And sure enough, he didn't. He was like, and sure enough, what happened? His eyes land on me. Michelle, sing this. Now, no one knows who I am. I'm like a freshman in a cast of 80, right? So I sing it. A whole bunch of people turned their heads and they actually clapped. And I was like, oh, I guess I did it really good. So he goes, all right, Michelle, that's yours. And then the next line was a boy line. So a boy got that one. And that was it. That was it. There was no more solos. In that moment, I learned a very big life lesson. And that is, you need to put yourself in a position to be noticed. And you're not going to get very far standing in the back, waiting in the corner, and hoping that somebody will see you. You have to move yourself into an area to be noticed, and you need to be practicing and preparing for that moment to occur. So since then, I have always made sure that I move myself in a spot to be noticed. And I have used those same skills to move, in many cases, like on this team, move one of you in a spot to be noticed, and to point out to you guys how to make yourself get noticed. And the practice is a big part of it. So moving forward, and I have even encouraged, Teresa has done a lot of performance-based things, whether it's the red and gold and whether it's cheerleading and stuff. And every time she's going into a tryout, I say, make sure you're not in the back. Make sure that you stand in the first or the second line. Make sure that you are towards the front. Make sure you're in a spot where people can see you. Don't just think because you're tall, they're going to see you. They're not. You have to put yourself where you're going to get seen. And she's like, I know. And sure enough, it served her well, that advice. Okay, so fast forward. Now here we are starting a business. Now I started 20 years ago, and I was going to be doing my first show. At my first show, people said to me, how long have you been doing this? And I said, this is my first show. And they said, what? And I was thinking to myself, later, not that day, but later, years later, I said, why did it seem like I had been doing it for so long? And I really believe that the reason why was that I took a big fat notebook. I started in June, so it was nice out. A big fat notebook and a pen out to my lounge chair along with our catalog. And I wrote out the entire show as I was going to say it. Hi, my name is Michelle. And I did the entire show opening. I decided what products I was going to show. I decided what order they were going to be shown in. Of course, it was a different business at the time, but the order it was going to be shown in, where I was going to talk about having a show, where I was going to talk about trying the business. And then I read it and said it out loud over and over and over again. And when I did the show, it flowed because I had practiced it so many times. And muscle memory is strong. It's scary strong, actually, because I did that business for 14 years. And that business starts with the same letter as Park Lane. And there are parts of my show that I say the exact same thing I did there, but here. And my biggest fear in the universe is saying that company's name on stage at convention. And I've had a few close calls because muscle memory is that strong. So, what I would ask you today is, what are you practicing to make better so that you can be more confident? So yesterday, when I was with Joy and Tamika at their event, Joy came in with her necklace the other way, like she showed on that live, and I was like, what's that? What's that? And she said, yeah, you believe it? Because I didn't know if she doubled it. I didn't know what she did. And then I saw how she did it, from behind and then, clipping it in the front. I said, how come you haven't shared that with us? And she said something to the effect of, I did. And I said, really? Because I didn't see any Facebook Live showing that. None of us know about that. How? And she was like, okay, I will. And then she goes, we'll do it now. So I grabbed my phone, and Tamika had hers as well. And there we go. It's we had a Facebook Live. I was talking to Jennifer Ewert when I was with her out in California, and we were actually talking, and she said, one of the things I think that I struggle with, and I hope she doesn't mind that I'm sharing this, she actually did theater in high school as well, but she was the stage crew person, like the stage manager, and I had to laugh because I said, oh my God, I'm amazed that you want to do that. I was always so grateful that someone would want to do that, because I had to do it as part of the education there, but I hated every minute of it. I never understood why people were willing to do that. It's fun. Run around in the dark and be in charge of other people's props and whatever. Oh no. God, I hated it so much. But other people love it. But she kind of has spent a lot of years thinking of herself as a background person. Do any of you see Jennifer Ewert as a background person? Would you have ever thought Jennifer was a background person? She's been on stage. She was Nancy Summers' sidekick for an entire 2-hour training. And yet sometimes she'll still struggle with being that background person. And I said, oh, hell no. You passed that a long time ago. Yes, you can still do support background things. We all should and do. But my goodness, you are here. You have arrived as a front and center person for those times. So there are lots of parts of our business that require practice. Last week we had some really great jewelry combinations, blending old and new together, shared. If you want to share those at your next show, you have to practice that, because otherwise what happens is you get up to that part of the show and you say your normal thing and you move on. And you drive home and you realized, oh my gosh, I never showed that other way to wear that necklace, or I never showed the unicorn with it. I did that at the show last night and they all went crazy, and one girl booked because she wanted to pick out a free unicorn necklace. That is 4 catalogs old, and she chose that as her booking gift, because what's old is new when you show it in a new way. So it takes practice. What are the parts of your show that need some refreshing? Are you needing to bring some fun into the show? Are you talking about the different styles of bracelets that we have that solve people's issues? So that was one of the things that at the end of the show, both Joy and Tamika commented on. They said, I love that whole way that you sold all the bracelets, that, if your hands are too big, you can't get a bangle on. So you should get a jewel bracelet, or you should get an open top bangle. We have 2 awesome brand new open top bangles, right? The Chateau and the Freya. We decided that was a pronunciation on that, right? The tassels at the bottom. So you don't have to only show Brooklyn and lifestyle now. You can show 2 new ones. Talk about how those are quiet. They're not jingle jangly like Frankie and Dominique, and are you the jingle jangle lady in your office, or are you the person that can't stand the jingle jangle lady? You know, have quiet bracelets with this combination. Are your wrists super, super tiny? We want to share with you the pull tab bolo closure ones. But if you don't practice these things, you will not remember to say them at your show. Another area of your show that really, really needs practice is your story. Because one of the biggest reasons why people will especially join with you, but want to work with you in general, is if they feel like they know you and they can relate to something about you. And if we're not sharing our story, then how can they possibly begin to do that? That is one of the biggest parts of the show that people skip, because it's like, oh, I'm running out of time. I've been talking for a while. They seem to be getting a little antsy. No one cares anyway. They totally care. And you're going to care when you get in the car and don't have any bookings and don't have any recruit leads, because you actually skipped one of the most important parts of your show, which is sharing a little bit about yourself and why you have chosen to partner with Park Lane. So the basic outline of that, remember, is, and I'm going to actually write them down as I say them because I didn't write this down before we started. So to write your story, part number 1 is what attracted you to Park Lane? Like, what do you like about Park Lane? So that's first. The second part of your story is, first part was what do you like? The second part is, what obstacle, if any, did you have to overcome in order to get started? What obstacle did you need to overcome in order to get started? Part 3 is, how did you overcome it? And then number 4, part 4 is, what are you looking forward to in your business? So what attracted you, or what do you like about Park Lane? What obstacle did you have to overcome in order to get started? How did you overcome that? And what are you looking forward to? Now, this is the best outline to use for those of you that are brand new. As you stay longer in the business, you will, of course, morph and adjust this, because you can't just keep adding to your story as the story progresses, because then you're going to be like Sheila, 30 years in the business, and you'll be up there talking about yourself for a half an hour. And I'm not at all saying that's what Sheila does. I'm saying that that's what can happen after you're in the business a while and you're like, well, I started, da, 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 and then you start continuing on with all the nuances. You are going to always say the beginning, but eventually you have to kind of do like a fast forward version to the middle and a fast forward version to the present. You can't be telling your life story. No one wants to hear that. So let's be clear about that. We are not telling our life story. We're telling the highlight reel of our business for those that are in a long time. But if you don't have the story in your show now, and it's okay if it's at the end, but it does have to be done. So that sounds something that's, this basic model version is as simple as, you know, I actually got started doing this because I went to a sip and style with my girlfriend, and I couldn't believe that all these women were in this room. They were having cocktails and snacks. The jewelry was beautiful, and it just looked like a lot of fun. And they said that they made money, so I decided to give it a try. My husband was a little, you know, unsure at first, because I do have little ones, and he was going to have to put them to bed on those 1 or 2 nights a week. However, once we kind of went over that and he saw my first paycheck or two, he was like, "Why are you home?" Because I was able to bring such a great paycheck into the house. So I'm really looking forward to using this extra income to pay for my daughter's dance and maybe even a little home improvement, and to just getting better at the job and sharing it with others. So if any of that sounds good, of course, we can talk about that later. That's as simple as it is. But you know what makes it simple? Writing it out and practicing it. And then deciding that you're not ever skipping it. Because people actually kind of expect that part of a home party. And when you don't do it, someone who's actually considering the business, and at any given show you do, at least half the room at some point during the show is considering doing our job. Half the people are considering trying the job. And if we don't give that spiel that they are expecting, they say to themselves, "Oh, I guess that she's not hiring. Oh, I guess that she's not interested in working with any of us here in the room. Oh, I guess I'm not qualified. I'm not the right look. I'm not the right whatever." And now you missed out on an awesome recruit lead. So anytime, if you're finding that you are running out of time to do that end part of the show, because I feel like that happens a lot where people are like, all right, you know what? They're getting a little antsy. I'm just going to skip that part and start taking orders. No, what you're going to skip is an entire jewelry combination that's pushing you over, because they're going to try on the jewelry at the end anyway. You're encouraging them to come up, try things on, and then you're doing a whole second round of demo at that point anyway. When the girls want to come up at the end and start trying on, then you can show them how to double the constellation necklace if you didn't get to it. Then you can do some extra, oh, we were talking about layering. I didn't even show you this echo necklace. Let them just kind of dictate in the after shopping what now is going to be featured. To feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my whole show will be ruined if I don't show the echo necklace. That's like a crux of my show. There's not a single piece in your kit that the show is ruined if it doesn't get shown. Not one. You could skip echo every show from now till the end of the trip period and go to Ireland. You could skip chalice every show from now till Kingdom Come and still earn $1,000 paycheck, because there's always another piece. It's something else that people will see, enjoy, and fall in love with. So it's just a matter of practicing. Anytime that you want to incorporate something new into your show, you have to write it down. You have to practice it out loud. A great strategy we all have, and we didn't have this back in the day, I would have totally been doing this. We all can record ourselves in the privacy of our own home. So I have done where I read a presentation or I practice something, I put it on video, and then I listen to myself while I'm driving. Do you know that I watch back every live that I do, every training that I do? I watch them back. Now you would think, doesn't she get sick of her own self? Yeah, I do get sick of my own self. But what I don't get sick of is improving. I don't get sick of fixing something the next time I want to present it. I don't get sick of realizing what my tick words are, or what word I was consistently mispronouncing, or what word is too New York accent at convention and I could fix a little more for next time. Because how else am I going to improve? People say, oh, I don't want to hear my own voice. Well, guess what? Neither is anybody else going to want to if you don't work on improving yourself. So yeah, listen to your own voice, practice yourself, take a video, take a look at, watch back your own lives. Are they too dark? You have to get a ring light. Are you always at a bad angle? Then you need a stand. you know, there are sometimes you have to realize that you have to spend a little money on something to make it worthwhile. If you're going to spend time doing lives and you have your camera all the way down here and what your live is of under your chin and nobody can see jewelry, nobody can even to see anything, we're looking up your nostrils, that's not worth your time. But you know when you learn that stuff? When you watch it back. And you say, why am I counting my nose hairs? I need to put a way to put this up higher. You could get that ridiculous little one from, oh my gosh, there was 100 commercials at Christmas for the one. It was like a cup phone holder, and then there was a little stand that went with it. My parents were like, we want a cup phone holder. Of course, they advertised it during Jeopardy and all the other times where older people are watching TV. So, I had seen the little elevated thing, and I was like, that would be great for like, when I cook, a lot of times I follow a recipe from my phone, but if it's on the counter, I have to keep picking it up, and this little thing just elevates it a little, and you can tilt it. And I had said, wow, that'd be fun to have. Teresa got it for me. She heard me say it. She got it for me. And I could use that for a live in the kitchen if I really wanted to, or for just, you know, whatever other reason. So you don't have to go spending hundreds of dollars to make these little improvements. You can get ring lights for a phone that are like $20 on Amazon. But you're never going to know these things unless you practice. One of Elizabeth's girls did set up a little event to practice her lives, and we were able to tell her, like, oh my gosh, you sound great, but it's so dark. We can't see anything. So she said, okay, good. Let me try it in the bathroom. She tried it in the bathroom. The light was great, but her Wi-Fi was terrible in the bathroom. So now she knew she had to get a light. She figured this out experimenting on us, not on her customers that were going to say, oh, that girl's lives are terrible. I can't even see her. I can't even hear her. Let's find these things out as you practice in advance. So speaking of practice and getting educated, Sylvia is going to do a new Facebook party training for us next week, so that it will be in the mock resources group, and it will always be there. We used to have a different group for that, and it was too many different groups. So Sylvia agreed to do that for us because she's our official Facebook party expert. So she is setting up an event for February 18th, which is next week. The event is going to take place in the mock VIP resources group, and she is fully running it as though it's a Facebook party. So she's going to do all the pre-party posts. She's going to do everything she does for a normal Facebook party, the live, all of it. So make sure that you RSVP going to the event that she's going to be setting up in there, so that you can take advantage of that training. And of course, I really want to you know, you take advantage of that to get better at it. Okay, so, okay, does anyone have, let me put it back on Brady Bunch. Does anyone have a question, a comment, or a thought on anything that we talked about today? Because I know that I did a lot of talking today.
Who did you say was doing the training? I didn't get the name of who you said was doing the
Facebook party? Sylvia. Sylvia El-Sayed is doing it.
Okay. Do we know when?
February 18th, which is next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So I would think that she's setting it up today, actually, so that you can get RSVP'd and then watch all the like she's going to do all her normal posts, all her normal everything.
I am going to set it up today, Michelle.
Oh, there you are. Yay.
Yay.
Thank you again for doing that.
Oh, sure.
Sylvia had foot surgery just recently, and she's still willing to do that for us. So I really appreciate that.
But that's why you don't see my picture, because taking a shower is not easy. So.
Oh, I know. Any other thoughts, questions, things you want to add? Are we ready to practice some things? I would really encourage you, as your action step today, is to think about especially your party And what's a part of your party that you know needs a little improvement? Do you need to get some more benefit selling things in there? If so, then I want you to identify where you're going to do that and practice it. Have you never told your story at a show? Then you're going to make a little outline of that and practice it. Film yourself doing it. Yes, video yourself, like Becky is saying, and like I was saying before. Video yourself, watch it back, and then try again. Video yourself, watch it back, try again. If what you need practice with is something more like, I'm not comfortable doing reach outs for whatever topic, then do a bunch of reach outs for that topic, because when you practice it, you get better at it. So what I'm going to do in the comments, actually not even in the comments, I'm going to find some past trainings that have been done that will help you with some of these areas, because we have videos on how to benefit sell with examples of pieces of jewelry. We have how to tell your story. We have how to do maybe you have never tried the ticket game at your show where you do the letters and then let them ask questions. That's a huge one. Are you not doing that because you're afraid? Well, guess what? You're never going to not be afraid unless you just do it and practice. So I'll reshare that video. So let's spend this week identifying what needs to be enhanced, practicing it, and then going out and using what you tried, the next show that you have, to do those things. And if you need shows to practice it on, then that's what you're going to work on as well, consistently reaching out. Does that sound good? All right. Well, I hope this was helpful. I look forward to seeing what you're going to be working on. In fact, when I post this recording, if you could make a comment about what, how we always ask, what's your biggest takeaway? Please comment what your biggest takeaway is and what you are first going to work on. What is the thing that you're going to work on practicing and buffing up as your first order of business? I would love to see that. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Talk to you soon.